Hello friends, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I hope you all are well and doing great. Today I am back with another video as we are going to start UCAT test preparation. UCAT is known as University Clinical Aptitude Test. So first we're going to see about the tour tutorial, that what we needed, what are the factors which we needed in this test. Then we move towards the practice test questions. So here we have the first step, which is tour tutorial. So we will move towards the tutorial. So welcome to the UCAT test tour tutorial. You can familiarize yourself with the computer-based format of the UCAT by working through this tutorial. Many of you guys know that this test is computer-based, so you have to be prepared for this thing. The first section illustrates all the test tools and functions used in the test, including how to navigate through the screens, answer and review questions, and use the calculator. So in the first section of this step, which is tour tutorial, we're going to learn about the screens, the answers, then how you're going to review your questions during the test, and how to use the calculator. And in the second section includes an example question from each subtest, so you can familiarize yourself with the on-screen format and practice some of the functionality. So in the second section, we're going to learn about the questions. We will find some practice test questions. We will read them and find their answers and find the solution, that how we're going to solve these questions. Click the next button to proceed. So whenever you wanted to proceed to the next page, you have to click the next button, which is given below on the right bottom, this one. Test tools and functions. This section of the tutorial will explain and let you practice these test tools and functions. So there are some functions, or you can say some tools, that you're going to use during your test. These are going to be very helpful. You have to know about them, then you can solve your question. So first we have the scroll bar. That if there is a scroll bar, then how you're going to use it using the calculator. So we're going to learn that how we're going to use calculator in a computer based test. Timer and progress indicator. So time is also given to you to solve every question. Then that's why we have to going to learn about the time, that how we're going to manage our time during the every question. Keyboard shortcuts. That if you are not a mouse user, you are a keyboard user, there are some keyboard shortcuts that you can use to time saving, that can prove very helpful during the test. Flagging questions for review. That if you wanted to review any one of the questions that you are solving after completing your complete all questions, then you can flag these questions and then you can check them for review after completing your questions. Navigator, drag and drop answers. So there are some drag and drop answers also. Then the question is given and you have to drag your answer and drop it in the right box. So how we going to drag and drop these answers, this will be seen in the next part. Note taking. Now again click the next button to proceed. Okay, next we have this scroll bar, first function, or you can say first tool, which is scroll bar. As you can see here, this one is a gray scroll bar. You can scroll it up and down to read your remaining question that you cannot see. Okay, so first we learn about the scroll bar and then we can move towards the questions. Sometimes a question will have content that is bigger than the screen. If the content is longer than the screen, you will see a scroll bar on the right of the text. Drag the scroll bar all the way to the bottom to view all unseen content. As I've already told you about the scroll bar, that if your question is bigger than the screen, then obviously the remaining question is written on the bottom side. So you have to just scroll your bar all the way to the bottom to see all the questions. Then you can see the remaining text. A pop-up indicator will appear to alert you if there is unseen content. You will be prevented from moving on until you have scrolled to view all of the information on the screen. Okay, so if you have not watched, or you can say you can see all the content, you didn't move your scroll bar all the way down, all the way bottom, so there is an indicator pop up that will remind you that you have not seen the remaining part which is at the bottom of this screen. Then you can scroll to view all of the information. Practice with the scroll bar on the right. So here they have given on the right side a one question just to practice how to use your scroll bar. So as you can see that we have these questions, but we cannot see the remaining part of these questions. So we can move a scroll bar down, or you can say to the bottom, to see our remaining question, and then you can read the whole part of this question. That's how you're going to use your scroll bar. If you don't move your scroll bar down to the bottom, then you can done your question wrong. That's why you have to know that how to use every function, every tool that is given on your screen during the test. Okay, so that's how you're going to use it, and you can see the whole remaining part of the question by moving your scroll bar up and to the bottom. Okay, now as we have seen all the part, now we can move towards the next portion. Okay, next we have the next function, or you can say a tool, which is using the calculator. A calculator is available on screen, which you will need to use in the decision making and quantitative reasoning sections. It is a basic calculator and cannot perform scientific functions. Okay, so a calculator is also available on your screens when you start your test. As you can see here that we have the option on the left top. You can use this calculator. You will need it during the decision making and the quantitative reasoning question. It's just a simple basic calculator. There is no scientific functions that you can perform, as you don't need it during these questions. So the calculator button will be in the blue toolbar above the question. As you can see here, the blue toolbar, this one, and the calculator option is given there. So to open the calculator, click the button. So if you wanted to use a calculator, you need it to solve your question, you just have to click on the calculator, and here you have this calculator. Now you can solve your calculations on this. Next, to move the calculator, click on the part of the window that says calculator and drag it. Okay, now you have opened it by just clicking on it, but you wanted to move it. So how are you going to move this calculator? You cannot move this calculator otherwise if you click on any other side. You have to click on this calculator and then you can drag it wherever you want, left to right or right to left, like this. Simple. Next is operate the calculator by clicking the necessary buttons with your mouse or by using your keyboard for number inputs. If using your keyboard, make sure num lock is on. Okay, now you know how to open the calculator, how to move the calculator, then you have to just use the necessary buttons which are needed to solve your question. You can use it by clicking on the mouse button, or you can use with the keyboard. If you are using keyboard, you have to make sure that num lock is on your keyboard. To close the calculator, click the X button or simply move on to the next question. Okay, now as we know that how we're going to open it by clicking on the calculator, here we have it, and we're going to move it where the calculator is written. We can drag it from right to left anywhere we want. Now you wanted to close it, you just have to click on that X part that is given. When you click on it, the calculator will be closed. That's how simple it is to use a calculator. Open and move the calculator at the top of the screen to practice. Now they say that they have given the calculator, you can open it, you can move it, and you can practice how to use it. As I told you, that how you're going to practice it and how to use it. Important note is here, calculator opens in a separate window to the test screen. If you click off the calculator window back to the test screen or use a keyboard shortcut, for example Alt plus F to flag for review, the calculator will not function until you click then on it. Useful functionality. To clear the calculator, click the On or C button. Okay, now you have completed your calculations as here we have. Now you wanted to clear these calculations as you wanted to do the next one, then you just have to click the On or C button, then this will be cleared your all calculations. So here we have the On or C button which you can use to clear the calculation that you did last time, and you can drag it, or you can say you can scroll it to the upside or downside by clicking on the right or left side. Okay, the next point we have the backspace key clears all the digits at once. equivalent to pressing the on or C button. So if you are using your keyboard, not the mouse, then you can use the backspace key, which is present on the keyboard, to clear all the digits at once. You just press the backspace key, all your digits will be cleared. There are no other buttons or keyboard shortcuts to delete one number at a time during calculations. So only we have the backspace option to clear all the digits, no other button, no other shortcut key, no any other option is available to clear your digits, or you cannot clear a single digit by using your keyboard. You have to erase all the digits if you have some error or any mistake. Okay, so I hope you guys understand that how we're going to use the calculator, all the options and the functionality of this. So let's move towards the next part. Next we have timer and progress indicator. Each subtest and instruction screen is separately timed. A countdown timer will be located in the top right of the screen. When there is less than 5 minutes remaining, the timer will turn yellow. Okay, now here we have the first point, that each subtest and instruction screen is separately timed. So whichever screen you opened to solve your question is separately timed. There is a separate time for every question, or you can say for every subtest. A countdown timer will be located in the top right of the screen. So there is the top right of the screen and we can see this countdown timer on it. There you can see this countdown timer. This is the have you're going to see during solving your questions. Now next option we have that when there is less than 5 minutes remaining, the timer will turn yellow. So okay, so this timer is running, and if less than 5 minutes are remaining, then it will turn yellow to remind you that you have less than 5 minutes, very few minutes left to solve your question. If you run out of test time, you will receive the following message. Okay, now the time is finished, which is running on the countdown timer. Then you will receive the following message. This indicator will be pop up, on which written, your time on the section has expired. Timing has begun on the next section. Click OK to continue. Now they're saying that your time of the section is expired. Now you have to move towards the next section. So if you wanted to continue, you can click on the OK button, which is given here. If you don't click OK and move on, you will lose time from other sections. Okay, now if you have to press the click button, but if you don't press it, then you will lose your time for other sections also. That's why whenever you lose your time for one section, you just have to click OK and then move towards the next part, so you can save your time at least for the next section. A progress indicator will be just located below the timer. So here we have progress indicator also just below the timer. So this one is which is 1 of 1 is the progress indicator. So what does mean by the progress indicator? This will show the question you are on out of the total available in the subtest. For example, 20 questions are given on any subtest and you are on the number 5 question. Then here it will be written 5 of 20. It means that you are on the question number 5, which is out of 20. So this will be written on this section, which is known as the progress indicator. You can minimize the time remaining and the question number reminders by clicking on the icons. To restore them at any point, click again on the icons that are shown on your screen. Now, if you wanted to minimize these icons, then you can click on them like this. You can see if you want more screen, you don't need any disturbance on your screen, then you can just minimize it, and if you wanted it back, then you can again click it on this icons, and here you go, like this. So simple to use these buttons, or you can say icons. The next we have, this screen has an example of the countdown timer and the progress indicator, which I have discussed with you. So I hope you guys understand the concept of countdown timer and the progress indicator. Now let's move towards our next section or function, which is keyboard shortcuts. Keyboard shortcuts can be used to navigate through the test if you find this preferable to using the mouse. Whenever or wherever there is a letter underlined, the Alt key can be used with the underlined letter key as a keyboard shortcut. So if you are not comfortable by using the mouse, so you can use the keyboard and you have to use the keyboard shortcuts on it. So there are some shortcuts given below that you can use to solve your questions. And there is a letter underlined. Wherever there is a letter underlined, you have to press the Alt key. So common shortcuts are listed below, which is use Alt plus N, capital N, to navigate to the next screen or question. So if you completed your question and you wanted to move towards the next screen or towards the next question, then you can just press the Alt plus capital N, then your screen will move towards the next section. Next is use Alt plus P to navigate to the previous question. Okay, now if you wanted to move towards the previous question, back the question, then you can use the Alt plus P, capital P key. Use Alt plus capital C to call up the calculator. Okay, now you're not using your mouse, so you cannot click on the calculator button that is given on the blue toolbar above at the top left. So you can also press the Alt plus C from your keyboard to call up the calculator. When you press the Alt plus C, your calculator will be opened. Use Alt plus F to flag a question for review. As we learn about that how we're going to flag a question, we just have to click on that button that is given on the right top corner on the blue toolbar. But if you're using your keyboard, then you just have to press the Alt plus capital F to flag a question for review. Use Alt plus V scroll up the navigator window. So these are some shortcuts you just have to keep in your mind whenever you're going to practice your questions, when you're going to give your test, if you are a keyboard user. Note, the shortcuts available at any time during the test depend on which screen is currently being viewed. Keyboard shortcuts can also be used to select answers. An example would be striking the B key to select answer response B. Okay, now if you wanted to select any option of the question like A, B, C and D, and you wanted to select the option B, then you can press the B key from your keyboard, then the option will be selected. That's how you can also select your right option. The mouse must be used to select the desired response in questions requiring you to drag and drop an answer. As I have already told you about the drag and drop questions, where you have to drag your right option and drop it on the right box in front of the right option. In that condition, you must have to use your mouse. You can not drag your options with the keyboard. Shortcuts in the practice materials. If the standard shortcuts do not work for you in the practice materials, this may be because of the device, operating system, or browser you are using. For example, the shortcut Alt plus F will not flag a question for review in the practice materials. If you use Google Chrome as your browser, this is because Alt plus F is a default shortcut in the Google Chrome setting. Okay, now you are using your keyboard shortcuts and it's not working. Then you have to check your operating system, your browser, your device, that what's the problem happening to you. For example, you just press the key Alt plus F to flag a question, but the question will not flagged. It means you use the Google Chrome as your browser, which makes it difficult to use your Alt plus F key. It makes it a default shortcut. If you find shortcut keys do not work, use your mouse to navigate through the test. So if any problem occurred and your shortcut keys do not work, you have to use your mouse to navigate through the test. You can use it to move towards the next screen, to flag a question, to use a calculator, wherever you wanted to use it. That's how you're going to solve this problem. Okay, next we have flagging questions for review. You may want to flag a question in order to review it. If you have time remaining at the end of the subtest, okay, you are solving your questions and you want to flag the question because you wanted to review it. You wanted to review it at the end of the subtest, so you wanted to recheck it. Then you can flag it. So whenever you complete your test, it will appear at the end of it. The flag for review button will be in the blue toolbar, located at the top right of the screen. So as you can see here, the top right screen on the blue toolbar, there is the option of flag for review. You can just, and how you're going to use it, Click the flag for review button and it will change color to indicate the question has been flagged. Okay, so whenever you wanted to flag your question, you just have to click on this flag like this. So it will change its color to yellow. It means your question is flagged. You can also unflag it by again clicking on it. You can use the navigator explained on the next screen to check which questions you have flagged and to navigate directly to them. Okay, now the navigator option is given on the next screen. We're going to learn how we can use it. So you can also use this option to check which questions you have flagged and which one not. If you have reached the final question of the subtest and you have time remaining, when you click next, you will be presented with a review screen for that subtest. Okay, now you have completed all the questions which is given to you and there is still time remaining. Then you can click next and there is a review screen will be presented in front of you. Then you can review the questions which you flagged before. Questions you have flagged for review will be highlighted on this review screen, as will any incomplete questions. So when you completed your all questions and you click the next button, questions you have flagged will be appear or presented in front of you. Then you can check the incomplete question or you can check the other questions also that you have flagged. From the screen, you can review all, review incomplete, or review flagged question. You may also click on a question number to return directly to its location in the subtest. You can return to the review screen by clicking the review screen button in the bottom left of the screen. Okay, now as it's given below that you can see there is a review all, review incomplete or review flagged. 3 portions are given. There are some incomplete options and the flagged one are those, as you can see, these one are the flagged questions. Okay, that's how you screen will appear in front of you whenever you complete all the questions. So this will appear in front of you like this. Then you can click on the flagged questions that are incomplete or you just wanted to recheck it, and the incomplete one also will appear like this with the incomplete option in front of you. Then you can complete it if you have the time remaining. You can continue to review questions in the subtest until your time expires or you click end review. So you can review your questions until you have your time or you can click end review. Whenever you're going to click the end review, then you cannot continue to review your questions. So you can continue it before clicking on the end review. Okay, next we have the navigator. You may want to navigate to a particular question within a subtest or check which questions you have flagged for review or not answered. Okay, now this navigator option is given so you can check that which question you have flagged and which question is incomplete that you have not done. You can check it by using the navigator option. The navigator button will be in the blue toolbar located at the bottom right of the screen. Like this. Your navigator option will be presented to you in front of you on the bottom right of the screen with the next and previous options. Then you can click the navigator button to open a window that lists the questions in the subtest, their status, and which have been flagged for review. So when you're going to click the navigator button to open a window, it will appear like this. So it will tell you that this question, as it's showing you here, the question 2 is incomplete and you have flagged it for review also. Here you can check your all the questions which are flagged and incomplete. It's also written that 7 are unseen, or you can say incomplete. There is a scroll bar on the right of the window to allow you to view the full list of questions in the subtest. So there is a scroll bar also given here. This is the scroll bar. You can move it all the way down, or you can say to the bottom, to check your remaining questions that you have flagged or which are incomplete. A question will have one of these three statuses: unseen, which means that you have not yet seen this question; incomplete, incomplete means you have seen this question and you have not answered it, or have only partially answered it. Complete, you have seen and answered this question. So whenever unseen appears, it means you have not seen this question, you just move towards the next. Incomplete means you have seen this question but you have not answered it partially or completely. Complete means you have seen the question and answered this, so it is completed. At the bottom left of the window is the count of the number of questions which are unseen or incomplete in the subtest. As I told you about this one, that there is a number of the questions that are unseen or incomplete, which is 7 in this one. So you can have an idea that there are 7 incomplete questions and you can complete it if you have your time remaining. If a question is flagged for a review, a blue flag will be seen in the flagged review column. So as you can see in this box, this blue flag appears in front of these questions. It means these are the questions that you have flagged during your questions. To navigate to a particular question in the subtest, click on the question number. So if you wanted to again recheck your question, to review it, to complete it, you can click on that question number which are flagged or incomplete. Important note is you can only use the navigator to move to questions within the current subtest. So in whichever subtest you are, you can use the navigator only in that subtest. You cannot move in the next subtest portion. To close the navigator window, click the close or the X button in the top right of the window. You must close the navigator before you can take any other actions in the test. So here is the option which is as a cross mark. you can click on this and it will be disappear the screen which you can see. You can order the columns in the navigator window in different ways by clicking on the light blue column header bar. Okay, now there is a header bar column is given which you can use to order the columns of the questions. So here we have this header column, this one, as you can see on the questions. By this you can order your questions. The next point is click the question header bar once to reverse the order of questions. To return questions in numerical order, click the question header bar again. So if you wanted to reverse the order of questions, then you just have to click on the question header bar. It will be reversed, and then you can again click the header bar if you wanted to organize it, or you can say in the numerical order. Click the status header bar once to order the questions by unseen. If you wanted to order your questions that will appear only the unseen one, then incomplete followed by complete, then you can click on the status header bar which is given here, which is this one, the status headers bar. So first we have unseen, then incomplete, and then the complete one. Click the header bar again to reverse this order. Click the question header bar once to return questions to their numerical order. But if you wanted to move again towards the numerical order of the question, then you can click on the question header bar. Click the flagged review header bar once to order questions that are flagged for review first. Click the question header bar once to return questions in numerical order. Now you wanted to order your questions that are flagged for review to come at the start, then you can click on the flagged review header bar which is shown on this bar. This one is the flagged for review header bar. Whenever you're going to click on this, the flagged one questions will appear first and then followed by the other questions which are unflagged. So if you wanted to return to the numerical order, then you can click on the question header bar. Okay, next we have closing the navigator window also resets the columns, so questions present in numerical order. Now you want to close the navigator window, also resets the column, so the question will appear in numerical order. You can practice using navigator in the question banks and practice tests. So navigator option will be given on the question banks, and in the practice test then you can practice how to use it. We will also practice in the next section. Okay, next we have the drag and drop answers. Some questions in the decision making and the situational judgment subtests require you to drag and drop the correct answer. As I have already told you about the drag and drop answers, that there are some questions given on which you have to drag your right answer in front of the right option and drop it in that box. These are the drag and drop answers. To do this, you need to click on and then drag your chosen response and drop it into the relevant box or in front of the right option. You can change your answer by dragging a different response over to the box. So if you wanted to change your response, that you just think that this one is not the right one, I have to put that one in the other box, then you can also drag it from this one box to the next one. We will practice it, then you can understand it clearly that how we going to drag and drop it. You can remove an answer by dragging it away from the box, but you're not going to shift it from one box to the next one. You wanted to remove it all the way, so you just have to click on that answer and drag it out of that box. It will be removed. Practice using the drag and drop functionality on the question below. So there is a question given and below. Now you can practice this drag and drop functionality on this question. So here we have the question that in Bill's garden there are white flowers and there are dahlias. Nothing else grows in the garden except for the begonias. Place yes if the conclusion does follow. Place no if the conclusion does not follow. So in these types of questions, we only have two options, yes and no. Which are the right option? We have to drag yes in front of this option. Which are the wrong option? You have to drag a no option and drop it in front of these. So like this one, we have given some options and there are some empty boxes, and then we have the yes and no box. So which option you think is the right one, you can place a right option in front of this. Like if you think that some of the flowers are red is the right option, then you just have to drag it like this and drop it in this box. So simple and so easy to use this drag and drop functionality. Okay, now you wanted to move it from one box to the other, as you think this yes is not the right option, but the second one is a yes. So you can drag it from there and drop it in the second box like this. Again, so easy and simple. But now you think that the yes is not the right option for any one of these options. All are no. So what you're going to do, you just have to drag a yes and you just drag it away. So it will be removed. Then you can put the next option, drag and drop like this. So simple. So I hope you guys understand the concept of drag and drop options, how you're going to drag an option and drop it in the right box. Next we have note taking. You may wish to take notes or do workings out during your test, particularly in decision making and quantitative reasoning. Now, you wanted to take notes or do your working during your test, especially in the decision making, or you can say on the quantitative reasoning, some calculations or anything else. So if you are sitting your test at a test center, you will be given a laminated notebook which will be A4 in size and a pen. If you require an additional set, raise your hand and request one from the invigilator. So if you wanted to solve your question, you wanted to do any calculations or any other working out, you can use the laminated notebook that will be given to you during your test. You can write on it, a pen is given, and if you wanted any extra set, you can raise your hand and ask for the extra set from the invigilator. The invigilator will have checked the pen is working before giving it out. You may wish to check this before you start to avoid the need to seek assistance during testing. Ensure you replace the lid on the pen when it is not in use so it does not dry out. So this point is for invigilator also, that if he is going to given you a pen, he have to check it before giving you out. that the pen is working or not. And you also have to check this pen before you're going to start your working out, that is it working or not. And whenever this pen is not in work, you can replace the lid on that pen so it will not dry out. If you are not given a notebook and a pen, you should request them by raising your hand. Failure to do so will not be considered a mitigating circumstance. Okay, so if pen and notebook is not given to you, they just missed you, they don't see you, then you have to ask for a notebook or a pen by just raising your hand. You will raise your hand, then they will come to you and ask that what the matter is it. Then you can tell them that you have not a notebook and a pen, then you can ask for it. Specific note taking arrangements. Okay, now let's move towards the next portion, which is test format. Test format, it will be like how all the portion and section will appear during your test. This section of the tutorial will present an example question from each subtest. So you can familiarize yourself with the on-screen format. You can practice selecting answers, flagging questions for review, using the calculator, and navigating between screens. So during this section, example questions will appear from each subtest, so you can familiarize yourself that which type of questions these are and how you're going to solve it. You're going to practice your answer, how to select it, how to flag these questions, how to use a calculator, how to drag and drop the options, how to use the scroll bar, navigator option. Each and everything you will practice on the test format. At the end of the 5 example questions, you can practice using the review screen. The question you have flagged for, you use the navigator screen. Then when you completed all the subtest portion, 5 example questions, then you can practice using the review screen. So the UCAT consists of 5 subtests. First we have verbal reasoning. Assesses your ability to critically evaluate information presented in a written form. So the question is given in a written form and you have to evaluate, you have to solve these questions. It will assess your ability that how you're going to solve that question. Second is decision making. Assesses your ability to make sound decisions and judgments using complex information. In the decision making, they will assess your ability that how you can take your decisions, how you can judge the things. It will be a question, or you can say it will be a test for your decisions and judgments. Third one is quantitative reasoning. Assesses your ability to critically evaluate information presented in a numerical form. Same thing happened in the verbal reasoning, but in the verbal reasoning there is a question in a written form, but in the quantitative reasoning there is a question in the numerical form. That's why you have to use a calculator during this section. Okay, fourth one is abstract reasoning. Assesses your use of convergent and divergent thinking to infer relationships from information. In that portion, some information is given and you have to check, or you can say you have to make the relation between this information that is given to you, and then you can solve the question and choose the right option. Fifth one and the last one is situational judgment. Measures your capacity to understand real world situations and then to identify critical factors and appropriate behavior in dealing with them. So in the last option, that is situational judgment, they will measure your capacity, that how you're going to understand the real world situations, the complexities, the problems, how you're going to understand it, how you're going to solve it. All the things will be judged in that portion. So these are the 5 subtests, and we will practice the questions of these in the next video. So now click the next button to proceed. First we have verbal reasoning example question. The following screen includes an example question from the verbal reasoning subtest. Practice selecting an answer and flagging the question for review. Okay, now the subtest portion for verbal reasoning is start from here. The next screen, there is an example of question that we're going to see, that how we're going to read the question, how we're going to solve it in the given time, and all the options that we have learned about, how we're going to use in that one. We will practice all that in the next screen. So I hope this is enough for today. We will discuss the verbal reasoning example question. We will practice these questions in the next section, in the next video. I hope you guys understand the concept about all the tools and the functionalities that will be used in the practice test questions or in the UCAT. The scroll bar, drag and drop options, note taking, navigator, progress indicator, countdown timer, every option we have discussed in detail. If you still have any question, if you still have any confusion, you can ask me in the comment section. I'll be surely reply you in the comment section. You can ask me here freely. So I'll be back with another video to continue our UCAT test preparation. We will start from the verbal reasoning example question. We will practice how to solve these questions in the next video. So we'll be back with another video. Till then, just take care.